It's a Justin Fields got a whole lot better Monday. That's right. We are in a pretty good mood here. Welcome into the CHGO Bears Podcast with former Bear Corey Wootton. What did I just do? I'm already drinking. I don't know what just happened.
You sounded like my dog.
Woot is here, as in Corey. Kevin Kaduk, head of content. Adam Hoge is going to join us for in about 20 minutes. We'll have the Hoge on. And, of course, we are always brought to you by PointsBet, the best way to bet live on games, to live your best bet life. Download the PointsBet app today. Sign up with that code CHGO. Your first two bets, risk-free, up to $2,000. Make yourself $2,000 and, become a CHGO member. It's just a great way to go here. Thanks to our friends at PointsBet. All right. Listen, team, I figured that this was a victory Monday, even though they didn't win, because this is all about development. And so what I did for you guys is, Kev, I got you the Coors Light, and I got you one too, Woot.
Thank you.
And I have one for myself. I think, listen, Bears fans, we have to have perspective. I know that we would rather win. I'd rather be 3-2. But, hey, we are – that's right.
Celebrating the Justin Fields.
We're celebrating Justin. We are celebrating
right.
right here. That's right. Monday at noon – CHGO, let's go. Braggs, we miss you, by the way.
Bears.
Brick by brick.
Cheers for the Bears.
There we go.
I really hope this doesn't come back to
where's
be
mine?
like.
Lawrence, I'm
It's not cool.
That's just not cool. But you're so far away, I can't throw it all the way over to Lawrence.
We're done with that.
Yeah, there we go.
We would have broken something.
Oh, yeah, look, it just took it down.
That's how we do it, Carl.
All right, let's go.
Mm-hmm. Oh.
I'm not all the way there.
You were the best chugger, huh?
Yeah, no, that was impressive. I didn't know they did that at the Wildcats. I didn't know that. I thought y'all were like.
Hey, we used to party a little bit. I'll tell you that.
Okay. I appreciate it. All right, team. So Hoge's coming up here, but as we start the show here, I think if we gotta just take a deep breath here and Woot, since you weren't on yesterday, I want to know what. Since we're in a good mood, what made you happiest yesterday about the quarterback? Or you can go elsewhere if you want.
So I've always said, like, between the ears, right, the confidence. And I think that was evident from the first possession all the way to the last. And I know in the first half, sometimes it wasn't pretty, but I never doubted his confidence in that game.
Wow.
Right? How he took control of that offense, right? The decisions he made, that was the key thing, decisions, right? You look at this game at Minnesota, they have arguably two of the best tandems rushing the passer, right? Zadarius Smith, Danielle Hunter, right? To only have 2 sacks in that game, I felt really good about that, right? And a lot of that is on Justin Fields, right? Knowing when to scramble, knowing when to, tuck and go, get the ball out. I really love the decision making.
There's there's about 5 interesting things in there. And Kevin, I want to get you in here on what you were happiest with the quarterback. But there was a note that came out from the Vikings side. Shout out to Big Z in the Tribune, that the Vikings thought the Bears' offensive line changed their philosophy and that they were attacking more. I don't know how much, if you noticed that or not. I mean, I got to be honest, I rewatched it today and I'm like.
I didn't notice any difference about it.
But that's interesting coming out of their locker room that they're like, okay, these dudes are being a little bit more aggressive now. And
remember what I told you what Danielle Hunter was saying all week, how this is going to be a big game for them. This is going to be their game, defensive line-wise, to get sacks, pressures. And I think they realized that this was a different Bears offensive line than they thought they were, quoting the late Denny Green. Rest in peace to him. But
we have Denny Part 3 coming up later today. What are you celebrating over there, head of content? What do we got?
I'm just happy that we're like feeling okay. We sat here a couple weeks ago after a win against Houston and just felt all sorts of down in the dumps because of what we saw from the offense, specifically what we saw from QB1.
Yep.
And now we fast forward a few weeks, and it's different after a loss. The way that we felt, I mean, we were on the ledge in that first half yesterday, Mark. We were sitting over here watching the game thinking, oh, man, another 12 games of this.
We were like 3/4 off the ledge. I mean, we were like, oh, my God. And Braggs is having his heart attack saying, what the hell are we going to talk about? I'm like, hang on, there's a lot to talk about. But I was kind of lying.
Yeah.
But then here they came.
The thing is, though, yesterday, we Lawrence and I, we tried to figure out what to put on the thumbnail on YouTube, and we just came up with moral victory. And commenters were upset. I think even Adam was a little upset, even though on Hoge and John's, Adam said, well, it was a loss with some positives. I'm like, that's a moral victory. Like, lost with some positives and whatever. Like, that's too long for the, I don't have a problem with deeming things moral victories in the year 2022. We move on to 2023 and 2024 when you've spent all that money that they've accrued, when you're that far into Justin Fields' tenure, then we're going to have a problem. Well, 5 games into 2022 and coming out of Minnesota, which is a tough place to play.
Yeah.
And we saw what that crowd was doing. Yep. We saw what the Vikings are capable of. I mean, that's a good football team.
Exactly.
What isn't there to like?
I think a lot of times, right, even though the fans know we're not making the Super Bowl by any means, like, I mean, at least at this point, right? I think this is a developmental season. I just think the fans in general want to win, right? Everybody wants to win, the players as well. And I understand exactly where you come from. Like, moral victories, people just hate that line, right?
Right.
Even guys that played, like when you say, oh, that's a moral victory, you play Green Bay down to the wire and you play great against Aaron Rodgers, say, well, it's still a loss.
Now, 2 seasons ago, when the Bears were in a position where if they won the final game of the season, they were going to be in the playoffs. Now, there were some people saying, I want to lose and so the Bears can get a better draft pick because they're not going to beat the Saints. Exactly. And to me, like, that's insane, right? That is insane. Like, if there's a playoffs berth on the line, and who knows, maybe the way the NFC is shaking out, maybe a playoff berth still is in the cards. I don't think that it is.
No, it is. It absolutely is. I did the math today. Keep going.
A Super Bowl title, I don't think is in the cards for them.
Yeah,
I mean,
right.
Like,
you never know, but we're gonna say not right this second, right?
Right.
The way they are playing as a team, right? It could change. The defense could make crazy adjustments.
I just think with the roster that you're playing,
I don't.
Well, just a shout out to the Bears fans, because however you want to name it, moral victory, whatever, you're not feeling the same that we felt after the Texans games. Bears fans they know what they are looking for. They're looking, and they have been looking for a quarterback for 30-plus years. We were just talking about Cutler before the show and the immense talent that he had, but the other stuff that was missing. Mm-hmm. Fields yesterday, on a million different ways, showed leadership that Cutler never did. What would Jay have done, seriously, with Amir Smith-Marset? Would he have raced down the field after him and said, "You're all good, you're fine," and then in the postgame afterwards say, "That's a second-year player and I believe in Amir"? Or would he have done his, whatever Cutler act and flipped his? And that was leadership right there.
Exactly. I love what I saw from Justin Fields. I think that's the biggest thing that fans, analysts saw in that game, right? Because a lot of people were knocking him, even all the analysts through NFL Network to ESPN said, "Oh, I don't know if I believe in Justin Fields," and then some were like, "Oh, we can't really evaluate him because he doesn't have the O-line, he doesn't have the weapons." But I think what you saw in that game was a guy that can be a perennial Pro Bowler if he plays up to his capability. I mean, that second half was unbelievable. That run, that scramble, and then it's called back by the block in the back. Come on. Like, my man flopped like he was LeBron James out there. You know? God, LeBron James.
I love that you just ripped LeBron out of nowhere. That was so enjoyable.
Nah, he flopped over there, but look at that play. There are very few quarterbacks that make that play. Like Lamar Jackson-esque. Justin Fields is special. I think what you saw in the game was like I said, the confidence was evident, and that was huge. 118 passer rating, and then what was it a couple weeks ago? Like 10? It was like record low. You remember they talking about record lows of this, that, and the other, yards, progression. That's what we saw against the talented Minnesota team.
And for him to have that game the week after the Ringer comes out with the article, just trashing Justin Fields and saying the Bears have screwed it up.
Take that, Ringer.
Whatever. Like, I love seeing that.
I love the Ringer.
He elevated, an offensive side of the ball that isn't great. And that's what we want to see. We want to see that he's a guy that can make players around him better. And when this is all said and done, and when the Bears make their jump, that offense is going to look completely different. Hopefully we'll have a Justin Jefferson of our own. Like, hopefully we'll have a wide receiver core that goes 3 or 4 deep. Hopefully we'll be better on the other side of the ball as well.
That definitely will happen. We have the draft picks. We have the money next year. So I think a lot of that is going to go into the offense. I'm just hoping when it comes down to it that too much of it doesn't go in. We need to address some defensive concerns. Right. But I think the primary should be Justin Fields' development and to get him going and get a supporting cast around him.
Well, in his 5-minute press conference after the game yesterday, one of his comments that was interesting, He said, quote, this is Fields talking, I think when I first got here, you see big guys like Woot flying around, D linemen going fast. You just think you have to speed everything up, but I'm just starting to figure out you've got to play within your own rhythm and the way you know how to play and staying calm in the pocket. I don't exactly know what he means, like play within your own rhythm. If the rhythm of the game in front of you is going 100 miles an hour, I mean, you got to speed yourself up to get away from these guys. But he did it yesterday. He had some level of calm in there and knew when he had to get out better than he has before. And he, you know.
And, you know, the key thing is he didn't take some of those unnecessary hits that we saw in the week prior, because we're looking at that game like, man, just get down. We saw him slide. We saw him get out of bounds. So he's being smart about that, because as a quarterback, a mobile quarterback, that's what killed Robert Griffin's career.
Yeah.
You know, he was on the trajectory to be the next big guy with Andrew Luck, and then that ACL injury, because he kept getting hit, that derailed his career.
Yeah, that's the danger of when you're getting out of the pocket and going downfield, like, hey, man, stay safe as best you can. We're playing football here. That's not exactly easy to do. I want to rewind back to where you were at a second ago with Cameron Dantzler, who another shout-out to Biggs, who Amir Smith-Marset after the game said he flopped. Yeah, maybe he did, but Amir's got to be better on that play too. There's no doubt about that. But Dantzler afterwards said, quote, he was blocking me, and I sold it pretty good. I was in a tough spot.
Yeah, it was one of those things like that shouldn't have been called in that situation. Yeah. He did like the classic, what you're taught in punt return, right? When you're in that situation, Smith-Marset put his hands up and kind of shielded him, right? And he flopped and he sold it, and you can't make that call in that situation, right? That's too important of a situation. And you look at what happened with Tom Brady getting thrown to the ground, how they called that. It's unbelievable sometimes with the refs, and you can go back and forth about how terrible they are, but that shouldn't have been called in that situation.
So, okay, former athlete, because I have an integrity question on this one. You all like to sell to the refs. And
why wouldn't you?
Well, because there's an integrity to it.
They're out there to win.
But right. But so are we? Is it win? And I guarantee that probably 98% of the chat is going to be with you on that one, and probably 98% of the world.
Well, hold on. Let's put it up there. One, if you agree that you should do anything to win on a football field. Two, if you side with Carm and you shouldn't.
Yeah. If you listen, when. It really bothers me in basketball when some dude, cracked the living shit out of someone. He's like, yeah, I didn't touch him. I'm like, dude, you fouled him. How are you trying to sell that? Or in the, whatever. There's a million scenarios in the NFL.
But I think like a lot of D linemen, right? If you're getting held by an offensive lineman, right, and you had a clear shot at the quarterback, and then all of a sudden you can't get him at that point. You're throwing your hands in the air. You're flailing around, trying to sell that hold. You got held, but you want the ref to know that. So you're throwing your hands in the air and everything. Like Willie Young that used to play for the Bears, he did that. He did that to a T. Every time he got held, I mean, he flopped and he got a lot of calls because of it. They were holding him, but he accentuated that. So acting one-on-one.
That's different though. But it's not acting. He was getting held and he's making sure the ref sees it. Exactly. I think that's great strategy.
That's true.
What happened here was a straight flop.
It was.
Now, is there ever a scenario where you're not playing it up for the officials, but you got beat and you got to play it up for the coaches in the film room the next week?
Yeah, a lot of times when people act like they tripped and they got beat, that's happened plenty of times. You see guys get burnt deep and all of a sudden they fall to the ground, and I'm like, man, there was nothing that made you fall to the ground except you're like, I lost my footing. Man, you're playing in field turf. Well, how'd you lose your foot?
I remember Hamp told me one time that I guess the Bears had like a pick, and so now he's turning into a blocker. And there's, but he doesn't want to hurt who's ever there, which was shocking for me to hear him say that. But he's like, he just grabbed somebody and was like, "Don't move,
or else,
or we're gonna have a problem." And that dude was, and so they just acted like they were engaging in a block.
Oh yeah, that happens a lot of times with quarterbacks, especially veteran quarterbacks, because they know, they listen, like it's a brother-in-law thing, like what they say.
That's what was Eric Hipple. I think that's what. Yeah,
so, they do the brother-in-law thing. We're like, hey man, I'm gonna act like I'm going. I'm just gonna grab a hold of you, and then we're gonna keep it moving. So it looks good for the coaching staff. And
Adam wants in on this conversation when he jumps on here in a few minutes.
Okay. Which okay, we got it.
About the selling calls,
yes. Right? I mean, I hear it all the time around soccer. Like
Soccer's a different,
But it's not. But it's still in the moralistic of like, can we not do what's right or what exactly is happening? Cameron Dantzler, congratulations, and then he's happy to tell the reporter, I sold it pretty good. Like, I mean, he's boasting about it afterwards.
Yeah. I mean that's how it is in this league. People are, like you said, are going to sell the calls. But that play by Justin Fields. That was top notch right there.
It really was.
That was impressive. The vision, cutting back, the speed. He has all the tools. So Bears fans that are saying, I don't know if he's it, he is that dude. Yeah. And we're just going to see him continue to improve. And hats off to Luke Getsy, right? In the first half, first drive was great. Then we kind of stalled a little bit. But in the second half, he really got things going to where he scripted for success for Justin Fields.
I wrote in this morning's newsletter, I felt like we were robbed of two potential all-time Justin Fields highlights. Yeah. One would be that 52-yard run that got called back, and then two is if that final drive just doesn't end, like do we see a game-tying touchdown?
I honestly think that how confident he was, just looking at him after that play where they almost lost the ball, right? He drops back in the pocket, nothing's there. Then he throws to David Montgomery. We get the first down. He gets the confidence. Then throws a dart to Smith Marset, and then he doesn't go out of bounds.
All season long up to this point, the offense has just been so stagnant and doesn't look anything like an NFL offense. And in the second half yesterday, the way they move the ball, when you tune into a Sunday night football game and you see some of the top teams, that's what the Bears looked like. It was crazy.
It was great to see.
And that's what we need to see, and it needs to be consistent. And if it's not consistent and it's it changes from week to week, then we're going to look silly for sitting here drinking beers on the Monday after a loss.
Exactly.
But also, like, to Bears fans out there who are feeling all right today, we won't be able to do this every week. Right. There was the dude completed 71% of his passes. They came back from 21-3 down to take a 22-21 lead. Yeah. Yep. He had just phenomenal moments that we're underlining right now. So these are all things that work today, and we're not here for moral victories for the rest of the time. I want to underline, look, the Vikings, it was 21-3. They scored a touchdown on their first three possessions. It was as bad as it could be. And then on the next possession, 2 runs, okay, and then Fields picks up a third then Fields picks up a first down running, and then they have a 3rd and 7 after a couple more runs, and Pettis drops a ball that you got to catch, right? And so, and
I'd
then
say Pettis is very happy for Smith Marset right now.
Right? Yes, he is. Well,
taking the pressure off.
The first one was a little bit behind him, and it wouldn't have been a first down. But the second one was horrible. But so then Josh Blackwell at the goal line, he flubs one where could have pinned him back. That doesn't happen. And then Cook's running down their throat. But then Robert Quinn gets to the quarterback, finally hits him, and then Justin Jones gets a sack. The Bears get it back, and first play, Luke Getsy dials up the bomb. And all of a sudden, the game starts to change. So I think Getsy deserves hey, things are going terrible. Let's try to flip it right now. Let's go deep.
Yeah, let's get that offense reinvigorated. And that's the key thing. This offense and defense, it's a tale of two halves every game, right? Mm-hmm. First half, very poorly, scripted up, with the exception of the first drive offensively. That's been key, right? We've scored field goals or touchdowns. But then the defense just struggles. And then in the second half, we make great adjustments and have to come back from behind. And you can't do that in this league. We're not good enough to do that. There are some teams that can do that consistently, where they can come from behind, but the Bears don't have the talent right now to do that. So starting fast, that's going to be the key thing going forward, because you look at these past 2 weeks, these were 2 winnable games, right? The Bears, especially the Giants game, and then this. Yeah. If a couple things go a different way against the Vikings, right? The Justin Fields touchdown, us going for 2 potentially.
Tied for first.
Yeah.
With a game in hand on the road.
You could argue the Packers game was winnable.
Yeah.
Got away from them, but.
Yeah, exactly, but.
And parity NFL. I mean, listen, the Bears are 2-3. Seattle, Arizona, the Rams, the Falcons, the Saints, the Broncos, the Jags, the Browns, the Bengals, the Pats, all 2-3.
Yeah. But most of the teams that are very successful in this league, they start pretty fast. Look at Philly, right?
Carm has a list and he's checking it twice.
Yeah, hey man, we're having a day. Monzi, I love your avatar because Shaq's the man. Thank you for the super chat. I feel better about this loss than the win versus the Texans. So do we. Hopefully the coaches can adjust mid-game from now on. Hashtag Wootton Bears president.
I think it says Woot for Bears president.
Woot for Bears. I'm sorry, Woot for. I need to get some
Gotta get
glasses
your
clearer.
readers.
Thank you very much. Woot for Bears president.
What do you think?
Hey, I'm down for that. I'm down to
It might pay
improve.
better than this.
I'm down to improve this Bears team and take it to the next level.
Well, you just said a second ago they've got to start faster, and then Flus said it yesterday. We got to start faster, but like, there's no like start faster button out there. It's not like they're trying to start slow. So how do you change that if you?
Well, I think some of it is game planning, right? You look at that second half, the plan that they had for stopping Dalvin Cook and Kirk Cousins, right?
Okay.
Have that same game plan because you know from film study what a team is going to do. Usually there's a couple plays where you might not have seen it before, but the Vikings, Kirk Cousins, what they do, they stick to their guns.
Yeah.
So you know what you're getting into. In the second half, they brought some stunts at that outside zone run, right? This thing that was carving us up in the first half. You know, Travis Gibson had a big tackle for loss with Kyler Gordon in there because of that stunt they brought into the outside run. So things like that, game planning for situations like that. They know we're struggling on just a regular front seven formation right now. So bring some pressure, bring some stunts in there to kind of help out this defense, things like that. Because you know, like I said, what the Vikings were going to do from the beginning of the game. And it's like almost like, oh, let's see how this goes. You know, and it's almost like the offense is the opposite. They're scripting great for what the opposing defense is planning to do. But defensively, we just can't get it figured out.
So I want to talk about the Bears' defensive strategy, and so does Adam Hoge, who's going to join us in 2 minutes. But first, Kevin wants to tell you you don't even need to look at anything, just about how important, how cool, how amazing it would be to get yourself a CHGO membership.
Ooh,
You should
I
definitely
like
get a CHGO membership. It's the amount of content that we're pumping out. You have your game grades. Will DeWitt is doing his rewatch. Nick Moriano is reporting live from the stadium every single week. Adam has his exclusive newsletter. I have a newsletter. It's free every week. You can actually just sign up for that if you go check out our socials. But
We got sweet merch.
Yeah, I'm going to tell you guys, as a former player, everybody here knows exactly what they're talking about football-wise, and you're getting quality content because I've read this stuff. And, you know, sometimes there's people that don't understand football, don't understand the ins and outs, but you have a little bit of everything with this group. You got Will DeWitt. He's got all the stats. That's the great part about it. He understands the stat game.
I'm intimidated by
exactly.
Will's
So you
knowledge.
have a little bit of everything with the CHGO crew.
Will is an
it's great.
encyclopedia.
You know, and I love reading the stuff, and it's awesome to see. So you guys are definitely getting quality content in there.
And it's not only Bears. Like Will Gottlieb is now out with the Bulls. The breakdowns that he does, even from last night, he did 6 things that stood out to me in a Sunday night game in Toronto. That was a preseason game, and it's the breakdowns are so great. Mark Kay is contributing. We have both of our baseball guys, Vinny Duber and Ryan Herrera, covering what's going to be crazy off seasons for both of those guys. Our Blackhawks guys are entrenched not only with the team, but the farm system and the college programs that some of the Hawks players are in. So there's plenty of stuff out there on our written site. And if you do sign up for that membership, you not only get access to that written coverage, you get access to the Discord lounge where there's a lot of hardcore fans talking. And it's like, to me, I love the Discord lounge because it's like people who are super into it. You don't get a lot of trolls. There's a good community. So that's pretty cool. I mean, like you kind of like almost you get what you pay for. And if you sign up for an annual membership, you get a free CHGO t-shirt. And we have a whole number of great football shirts on there. So
Where do they go to do this, Kevin?
all CHGO, all ALLCHGO.com.
And if you do get a membership, Greg Braggs Jr. will let you come out and make mortar for him.
Is that right?
Brick by brick, baby.
Brick by
I
brick.
love it.
Hey, and before we get to Adam, also just if you want to go see Harry Styles tonight, you should go do that on the Game Time tickets. Use their Game Time app right here. Harry Styles. Tickets ain't cheap tonight for Harry. People want to see Harry.
That's the rescheduled show from Thursday.
I
He
mean-
had to bail out some. I don't know if it was a COVID issue.
Yeah.
There was a whole bunch of videos on social of all these girls just crying. Like apparently their mom was like, "No, you can't come back in 3 or 4 days," because they had. I mean, I felt bad for him, but it was also kind of funny. So.
Oh, man.
There's also a zone deal on here for Ed Sheeran, July the 29th. Hashtag I can't wait.
What about for the Bears on Thursday?
Okay, let's.
I mean, that's
get
probably more in our target
Let's
audience.
get back to home base here. Listen. We got diehards and they do things for other than just football, I believe. Your cheapest entree into Soldier Field for Thursday night right now is $143 on the Game Time app, which is a great night to be out there when the Bears get back to 3-3. Damn it, we'll get to how they weren't favored, and now all of a sudden the money is coming in on the Bears, so the line's moving. But bottom line, Game Time, the hottest new ticketing site, makes it easier than ever to score the best deals on tickets to sports, concerts, everything we're teeing up here. 50-yard line, up top, courtside. There's some good values down low here for Thursday night, too.
And look, it's all about supporting CHGO. If you like what we do here, you want to help us keep the lights on, you buy tickets through Game Time, you buy tickets to the membership, you keep the super chats going. We are eternally grateful because this is a pretty cool job. I'm sitting here on a Monday morning talking about the Bears, enjoying a beer with 3 good dudes, and it's pretty awesome. So I appreciate everything anyone does.
Unlike Carm.
Yeah.
The best thing you can do, and this won't cost you any money, hit the subscribe button on this channel. Yep. We're trying to get to 25,000 viewers here in a quick time.
Hit the like, subscribe.
Hit like, subscribe, everything.
We appreciate you. Game Time app.
And real quick, Carm. I was talking to Jake about this, Kevin. Maybe during the week we could start breaking down some of the key plays. Yeah. Because the All 22 gets released later on, and I was talking to him about that, like the key plays in the game, like the Dalvin Cook touchdown, breaking down what really went wrong. Sure. Right, looking at certain plays with Justin Fields, so that way we give the fans an inside look at what really went on, right? And they know exactly who was responsible for this, what was supposed to be the fit here, especially defensively. That's going to be key there. And then if we can look at some of the running plays, Justin Fields, I think it would give them a good look at everything.
Very cool, very cool. All right, Adam Hoge.
Wait, real quick. Doug in the chat is yelling at me.
About?
He's asking if the Bears make the playoffs, will Woot cut the mohawk?
If the Bears make the playoffs, I will cut my shag, brulette, mohawk. I'll cut it.
Doug making it very safe for you, but you never know. So Woot,
I think if the Bears make the playoffs, Carm cuts his hair into a mohawk.
Yeah.
Hey, listen, whatever we need to do.
Boneless wings on a Monday.
Boneless wings with the Coors Light and a mohawk. Let's go. And we won't even talk about the team that's lost 5 in a row, who's just really scuffling along over there. And right? wow, was that a tough Saturday. And by the way, I shouldn't do this, but I will. Metra. What's up, Metra? I'm waiting for the train after Wildcats, Wisconsin, 42-7. I got dinner to go to and whatnot. Carm's trying to save the wallet a couple dollars here. Doesn't want to spend the $40 for the Uber. Metra doesn't even show up on Central Street. The 625 Metra. How are we supposed to get around in this world when the Metro doesn't show up, Adam Hoge? What's up with that? Metro just doesn't show up these days. What world are we living in?
What are you talking about?
He's talking about after the Northwestern game.
I'm trying to get a train to the city. I'm trying to go down to Ogilvie. How does the Metro not? The Metro's never not there.
So you missed your dinner reservation?
This is a Bears podcast, not a.
People ride the Metro to Bears games.
They will soon when it's in Arlington Heights.
Oh,
exactly.
No.
Yeah.
Oh, no.
I'm guessing the Bears have a little higher priority than the Northwestern Wildcats at this point.
Yeah, they definitely do.
We got a cat on Sunset here. Okay.
Yeah,
fine.
the way they're playing now, it really.
Yeah, the Wisconsin. Yeah, okay.
And then we got Wisconsin coming in here.
Yeah.
All right, so Adam Hoge, you want to talk to Corey Wootton about something, and I think it involves the Bears' defensive strategy. So I don't know how we want to go about this, but maybe.
Well, first let's go back to the discussion you guys were having about the
flopping,
the block in the back penalty. Okay, and the acting or whatever by Cameron Dantzler, which it was. He sold the call. But first of all, look, to me, I'm going to back off. Yesterday, I was pretty supportive of the penalty. Today, watching it a little bit closer, I'm more like 50-50 on it. The problem with me, like, Woot, if I was going to go back as a coach and show Ihmir Smith-Marsette this play, the problem is he got beat with his feet early on. If you go back from the end zone angle, he and Darnell Mooney are both in perfect position to make the blocks. And the difference is Darnell moves his feet better to stay in front of his man. Ihmir Smith-Marsette does not. So he gets beat by Cameron Dantzler, which puts him in that position where now he's trailing and has to make it a 50-50 call. And from that point on, Dantzler does a really good job of selling it, which, to answer that question from earlier, 100% you coach your guys up to do that when they're in that position. You absolutely try to sell a holding call anytime you possibly can to get that call. And why would you not? Carm, it saved the Vikings a touchdown here. They might lose this game if Cameron Dantzler doesn't do that. It's a no-brainer.
We're talking about integrity of sport and whether you will cheat to win. Cheat in the moment. That's not cheating.
That's not cheating. That's technique.
No. If he's trying to sell something that's not happening just to sell it to the ref, that in my mind is cheating. That is.
If the roles were reversed and the Bears player had done that, you'd be up here. We'd be toasting.
No. That's not true. That's not true.
It is true.
Hold on. Everybody, hold on. I would like to in a utopian world. You're right. Like, listen, I was never I'll give you my biggest one. I was never a fan. This is a Bears podcast, but I was never a fan of Dennis Rodman. I hated him to the end of the earth. I hated all the selling that he did. And when he became a Bull and he became beloved in this town, I was like, that dude is a Piston. I'd rather have Horace Grant here. This sucks. But then, of course, at the end of the day, was I happy that Rodman helped him win three NBA championships? Yes, I was. So I'm not saying I'm not a hypocrite on some level, because I am. But in a utopian world, I'd rather my dudes played by the rules and didn't try to sell things to the refs like we're talking about right now. And win the football game that way. That's that. If I'm my perfect, best, calm sports fan, whatever else self, that's how I'd like it to go. I'm not going to sit there and pound my chest and be like, cheat.
And you know what? Corey, when he was playing, probably would have preferred that when he was on the bottom of a pile, people weren't grabbing his junk.
Yeah.
But it's football.
Yeah.
That's different. That's that.
So can I tell you a quick play where I tried to accentuate a hold, right? So in that 2013 game, when we get beat deep on that fourth and whatever, where Chris Conti got beat deep, Randall Cobb scores a touchdown, right? I clearly beat the guard, and I got absolutely held from behind. I flailing my arms in the air, and nobody called anything. They didn't call it. They didn't call it at all.
This is on the Conti
You
play?
should have flailed. I'm glad you did.
But that's what I'm trying to say is I eventually got through the hold, but I accentuated what happened.
All right.
Right? Because
we're gonna roll this out on social for sure afterwards.
Yeah,
we
because
have to do a breakdown of this.
You have to. And Hoge, I don't know if you heard this. I was talking about Willie Young. He was one of the best at doing that, right? Anytime he got held or whatever, he'd flail his arms up in the air, and then all of a sudden he'd get that call, right? He did get held, but accentuating stuff is a part of the game, right? Especially if you're not going to make that play, you have to sell it so that they see it.
Absolutely. And Carm, you're acting like it wasn't like a close call. I mean, go back and look at the replay. His arm is actually in between Emir Smith-Marsette's. He's got him kind of wrapped. It's 100% a situation where you try to sell the call to the referee, and it worked. And your basketball comps are stupid. It's a different sport. Stop bringing in basketball. It's football. It's not even close to the same thing.
Okay, first of all, I'm not even going to argue on the basketball comp being dumb because that's probably correct. But I'm going to read you what Cameron Dantzler said. I sold it pretty good. I was in a tough spot. That's what the dude said. So he was blocking me. And I sold it pretty good. Listen. As far as crimes go, this is petty theft at best. At best. But he's boasting that he sold this thing, and I'm not going to celebrate his ass for that.
But can I ask you guys one thing? Don't you think towards the end of a game, especially let's say in the fourth quarter, certain close calls like that should be reviewed that aren't normally reviewed, like a situation that's going to make or break a play, like that sack on Tom Brady where Jarrett got him. That was the game deciding play, and just like this play, this could have been the game deciding play if we got a win, if we lost. So I think in that situation, they have to fix something because it's a bang-bang call. And like you said, Hoge, it's 50-50. You can go either way. But I think anytime there's a 50-50 call, you just have to leave it be as it is, right?
Thank you.
Thank you. You let them play football.
And I will tell you the one thing that bothered me from the refs on this one was if you look, I think it's the side judge behind the play doesn't throw his flag until the other referee does. That's just like a small pet peeve, but you could tell he's like, I'm not sure if that's a penalty or not. And then he sees the other referee throw it, so then he throws it. Yeah. That drives me crazy. Either you saw it or you didn't. Don't call it because your other referee did.
Thank you for that one too.
Exactly. Like when Tom Brady looked up at him, and then they're like, "Oh yeah, let's throw it now." Like what?
That call yesterday in that Bucs game was brutal, and they actually started using that extra official up in the booth, and I was almost surprised that, because I don't know if you guys remember in the playoffs last year, there were a couple moments where the referees were huddling, and they all got the earpieces now, and you could tell that like there was some extra information coming in from above to get the calls right, which is fine. Like, I don't have a problem with that. Get the calls right. But I was almost surprised in that game yesterday we didn't see that happen, because that was such a bad call. Wasn't even close to roughing the passer on Tom Brady. And someone should have come in there and been like, yo, Jerome Boger, that was garbage. Pick up the flag.
Especially that's why they have that studio in New York, right? Remote, everyone looking at everything. So, like, these situations make or break a game. Like, it is what it is. So it has to be something like that where they can review it. They come together and say, okay, was this, was it not? And it's consensus. I don't know if up in New York or the refs need to vote between it, because that shouldn't be a game deciding play right there.
Should we pour one out for the Atlanta Bears? Or?
They are the Atlanta Bears, and
we're both feeling the same pain right now.
You get healthy, Cordero Patterson. Yes.
I do want to talk about the defense, though, with Corey, and
that's where I was going to go. I just want to just yell out, renewable or rechargeable with your sniffing jocks comment. That's funny. That's funny. But listen, buddy, I renewable and rechargeable. I got tennis matches. I got hoop games I'm playing in. Don't you better walk that back, renewable and rechargeable.
You do play 12-inch softballs.
Yeah, 12-inch. Well, okay, you're dogging, but I'm celebrating.
I don't even think people wear jocks anymore, honestly.
All right,
they don't. They wear spandex, man.
Yeah. So okay, now you guys can have the conversation on what the hell was.
Let's talk about defense.
What was the Bears' strategy yesterday, Adam? Lead this conversation, because it was pretty damn confusing.
Well, that's why I wanted to ask Woot, like, just from like a defensive game plan, what he thinks the Bears were thinking, because to break down the first half, it's not hard. The Vikings took Justin Jefferson and lined him up wherever Jalen Jones was.
Yep. And
then Jalen Jones would play like 10, 12 yards off, and they would throw the ball to the wide open top receiver that they have, and it was just like so simple. Now, I do think, I guess I have two things for you, Woot. Were the underneath defenders, because sometimes there's a linebacker or maybe the nickel, were they not getting enough depth in some of those situations? Because I don't understand, you're playing that far off of Justin Jefferson. It feels like there just wasn't enough depth from underneath on some of those plays. But also, no shit, that was the Vikings' plan. Like, how are you not more ready for that? And why, again, did it take so long to adjust, which eventually they did? If you watch the second half, they found a way to get Kindle Vildor on him more. They started jamming him at the line of scrimmage and then having a defender over the top. Like, there were adjustments once again, but why did it take so long?
Yeah, I didn't understand that, because like you said, the game plan was let's play off him a little bit. And then, like you said, the linebackers weren't dropping with enough depth. So Kirk Cousins, Justin Jefferson and company, they were finding those the holes in the zone. And that was their game plan, right? Kirk Cousins, I think, was 17 of 17 at one point, set some kind of Vikings record.
Yep.
And I just didn't understand why after that first drive they didn't make adjustments on it. Because, listen, Justin Jefferson is a talented guy, but the times he struggled is when people have press coverage on him, right? And you're going to have help over the top. So I didn't understand why they waited until the second half for that to happen. And then we talked about the running game, right? They kind of struggled, and Dalvin Cook gashed him a few times in the first half on the outside zone runs. And then we saw them, running some stunts at some of those outside zone runs when Travis Gibson got the sack combined with Kyler Gordon. And I just didn't understand why. I was telling them this, what the Vikings are going to do. They've had the same game plan. They might have one or two plays like that trick play that they had that nobody really saw, but what their mantra is. So I didn't understand why they didn't come out, having stunts to the strong side of the formation, because they're going to run that outside zone when they have the tight end and the Y off. So I didn't understand situations like that. So it takes too long. And especially defensively, we start so slow, and then always we make the adjustments. In the second half, we play well.
Nagy, you're funny with your adjustments are overrated. I got to throw just the stats on this. Vikings franchise record, completing his first 17 passes. Congratulations, Kirk Cousins. Vikings wide receiver Justin Jefferson, career high 12 receptions. 7, by the way, in the first quarter. 7 for 91 yards in the first quarter. That's insane. Vikings were 12 of 15 on third down. That's the highest percentage an opponent has converted against the Bears since 1940, which is unbelievable. And, teams win when they do that. 23.3%. But the other thing is that the Bears on third down all season have been terrible. They're allowing over 50% conversion rate. So this is not just a Minnesota thing. I see Adam Hoge, something's moving over there.
Well, I would just say, like, in the whole title of this podcast today really is about, has Eberflus turned the corner, or are they figuring it out? Like, let's find out Thursday night, because the one thing we learned in this game was they were almost forced into being more aggressive in this game because they were down 21-3. They had no choice. But I'd like to see that from the start. Like, why don't you make some adjustments before the game even starts? Let's not come out in this, soft shell coverage and just kind of do this wait and see thing on defense, and we'll figure it out as it goes. And then same thing on offense, be more aggressive early. Like, don't wait till you're trailing to the point and can't run the ball to take some shots with Justin Fields. And I think if you try to do that Thursday night, you might be the team that's up 14-0 before anybody realizes it. Instead of the opposite that we've seen these last few weeks. This first quarter, like, insane conservative philosophy, honestly, it's like hard to watch. And
it was.
It's like you don't have to be boring. You don't have to. You can actually be exciting. Like, why don't you start the game that way?
I'll give one more too. Kirk Cousins, and this one's from ESPN. Kirk Cousins threw 41 passes Sunday. None, as in none, were into a tight window, 1 or fewer yards of separation. That's the most attempts without a tight window thrown since Next Gen Stats began tracking in 2016. I mean, we all saw it. They were
wide open,
wide ass open.
The game plan was they were scared of Justin Jefferson. That's simple as that, right? And I understand he's one of the most talented receivers in the game, but you look at the tape when he struggled against that Eagles game. What did they do? Press coverage on him, right? They got after Kirk Cousins. I know our pressure isn't the same as the Eagles, but whenever you jam a receiver, and Hoge, you know this, a lot of guys in the league cannot get off that jam. It's tough to. It flusters them. They like the space out there. Any receiver likes space to get off and get into his route. So I just didn't understand why they didn't mess with him a little bit, because that gets in receivers' head. And you saw in the second half, Justin Jefferson really kind of struggled to get open at times, and it really hurt us. So I just didn't understand that game plan. It just seems like you said they're coming out very conservative, kind of almost scared, to get beat. You got to play football in this league. You got a game plan. As long as you have help over the top, I don't understand what the problem is.
Yeah, and I'll give you one example. It's at 7:47 in the third quarter, 2nd and 10. They had Kendall Vildor jam Justin Jefferson at the line of scrimmage, and he actually fell down. He actually lost his footing and went down on that, then tried to recover. They also had the safety over the top. I think it was Brisker on that play. And then eventually Kirk Cousins was forced to essentially throw the ball out of bounds in that direction because he was looking to get the ball to Justin Jefferson again. Wasn't there, so he just threw the ball away. And now you have a 3rd and 10. So they again, like, they made that adjustment. It just took too long. However, I would like to thank Matt Eberflus and Alan Williams, because Justin Jefferson is on my fantasy team. So thank you.
Well, that actually dovetails where I want to go here, because I want Adam Hoge, special teams coach, Corey Wootton, onside kick hater, Kevin Kaduk, Mark Carman supporters. Woot, you hated the onside kick yesterday.
I don't like that, especially after you score. And the classic Bears, how they've been this season, right? Second half adjustments, they've done well. So you have the momentum, you score, and then onside kick in that situation, the percentage, I don't know what a surprise onside percentage is, but I'm going to get is not high at all, right? I'm going to guess.
Sure.
Yeah, so I just didn't understand that, and it worked out for them because they got the block kick, but that could have been a situation where you're giving the Vikings, whose offense is really rocking, a short field. So I just didn't understand.
I think people are fans of it because of the way it played out. The defense came in, made the stop, and so it was great.
But
so
if they didn't, if they score a field goal,
you did say you didn't like it in the moment,
yeah.
right? So I'll give you credit for that.
Especially that early,
right?
You know, because the Bears have been a second half adjustment team, and I understand you're trying to steal a possession back, but at that point, I didn't like that. And then also the going for 2 in that situation in the third quarter, it's still early. I didn't like it at all, and that could have determined the game, right? If Justin Fields scores in that situation, that could have determined the outcome of this game. So I just didn't understand that early.
So you want a conservative Flus, which is interesting. Yes, go ahead, or maybe conservative that way.
Well, I love what Adam said about Thursday. Let's see Thursday. It's a night game on the lakefront. Everyone's expecting to see an awful game, reminiscent of Denver versus Indianapolis with Chicago and Washington. Let's see them. Let Justin cook. Let's see a 14-0 early lead. Let's shock the world.
See, back to the onside kick. The reason why I don't have a problem with it is because of what they obviously saw on film. It was an interesting kick return formation that the Vikings had going, where they really only had 2 guys, up towards that 10-yard line that you have to, the ball has to go 10 yards, right? So then there was a big cushion there behind that because they only had 2 guys up. And I have to just give credit to, I think it was Evans, the guy in the Vikings, who he just made an incredible play, honestly, an instinctual play to jump on that ball. Because even if you look at it where the point where Cairo made contact with the football, he's not recognizing the fact that it's an onside kick. And I think Cairo probably hit it, maybe a half a yard too far. You really want that ball to go exactly 10 yards at the point where you're able to jump on it. And it went more 11.5 yards. And so that probably went in, but I didn't hate it because if you look at that formation, I think it was there. Anytime you kick an onside kick, you're understanding that you might not get it. And I do think that what Matt Eberflus said after the game, where he kind of warned his defense and said, hey, you gotta treat this like a sudden change situation, like it's a turnover, and you watch the intensity that especially the D line, who we've been critical of, the series right after they gave that onside kick up, they played really well. They were really going after it and firing off the ball. So I feel like it was worth the chance in the moment. And you just sometimes have to tip your cap to the other team for making the play, and that guy in the Vikings did.
Michael Nash, you're on it too. They were seeing Minnesota bail out early, so it was
there. I guess.
To me, they weren't even bailing though. It was just the formation. They kicked it to an open spot. I just got done watching it, and it was there. And so. I don't hate the call. I also wonder, too, if Flus was just wondering if his defense could make the stop either way. Even if you kick it deep, they didn't really have any answers at that point. They still may have gone down the field and scored.
Well, go ahead, Kevin.
Adam, as a special teams coach, how much time do you spend every week on both sides of the onside kick equation?
I mean, you definitely go over it every week. You have to. Some weeks you can project a little bit more, Hey, is it more likely that we're going to be the team that needs the onside kick this week versus are we going to be the team that might have a lead late and we have to protect with the hands team? But either way, you have to work on it every week. This was probably a situation where as they were scouting, they saw this formation that the Vikings were in and figured so they most likely practiced exactly that onside kick to that exact spot and trying to beat that guy to that spot. And like I said, I think the ball just went a little bit too far, but that is so incredibly hard for any kicker to do. So it's not like anyone did anything wrong on the play. I just think the Vikings made the better play.
What's funny to me about it, though, is because, and any team would say this, but the Bears after the game, the defense is that's great. They're showing belief in us. No, not really. They're saying that it doesn't matter if they kick it deep or not because you're going to give up points, most likely a touchdown because that's how it's gone. And the offense that's great. They're showing confidence. No, it's not. They want to give you a short field because they don't believe that you could drive down the field. So it's really
they were trying to give them an extended break.
That's the only reason I didn't like it, because your defense had been struggling to stop them, and in that situation you're giving them a short field. That's why I didn't like the call.
I mean, yeah, it would be if you could actually believe that, like, we love the defense so much that we know that you're going to stop them, that's why we'll do this. But that's not how they were thinking about it. They were, logically, come on. Yeah. We can't stop them anyway, so let's try to give the ball back to the offense. And then, okay. But bottom line, I think this is the Flus we're looking for, right? These are not the droids you're looking for. This is the Flus we're looking for. Do we not want Matt Eberflus to, in general, to be throwing caution to the wind and just trying to seek opportunities to develop most the first focal point being the quarterback? But hey, this season is about a long-term play, and he's taking a shot on the road against a better team. That's what we want from the head coach, is it not?
Yeah, I think it's interesting when you look at it that way, because I have a feeling like they're looking at it more of we know that our margin for error is almost zero. So, we can't afford to take too many chances and make too many mistakes, or we're just not going to have a chance. When instead, I feel like the fan base and us are looking at this like, what do you have to lose? Like, you're not supposed to be that good anyway. Take chances, see what these guys can actually do. And if we have to deal with some mistakes along the way, then you will. You'd like those mistakes not to be as simple as failing to run out of bounds at the end of the play, which I don't care what level you're at in your career, you should know to do that. But that there are going to be mistakes at times. And it was a much more aesthetically pleasing product to watch in the second half yesterday, when they finally seemed to open things up on both sides of the ball and just play more aggressively.
So, Hoge, what did you think about going for two in that situation?
If they had scored?
No, I'm talking about when they went for two in the – yeah.
Yeah, here's my criticism of that. I'm kind of 50-50 on whether or not you should do it there. I don't hate it if you really feel confident in your play call that you're going to get it. I hated the play call. I mean, first of all, I hate any 2-point conversion in which you're throwing short of the sticks to begin with. And unless it's something very specific that you saw on film, like one of those shovel passes that come from the Andy Reid tree of offense that seem to be successful more times than not, as long as it's not the Chicago Bears running them. To run a screen there to Dante Pettis, who hasn't been catching the ball the last 2 weeks, has been dropping it. I just didn't like the call. So if it had been a better call, I probably would have supported it more. But I think if that was your play, I would have just kicked the extra point.
Yeah, I think you got to take the points in that situation, especially early in the third quarter. You're looking at it like, hey, take the points where you can get them. And then if Justin Fields and company drives down the field and scores, that's the difference between you having to go for two, or not. Because I think in that situation, if that didn't get called and we drive down the field and score, I guarantee Eberflus and company, they're going for two, because this is a game that you're not projected to win, so you're going for two to win it all.
Kevin, did you know when you hired Woot that he was so old school?
I am very old school, man. Like especially you take the points when you can get them. Right. And it could have really hurt them in that situation.
I'm with you, by the way. I like in the moment at the time I was like, they're going for two to try to make it a 3-point game. But if I and I was fine with it. But when I'm saying I'm with you, I'm saying like if I was coaching at that point, I would have kicked the extra point.
Yeah.
And someone
early in the game.
Someone in the comments pointed out that they ran one of those plays for a touchdown yesterday. I'm assuming in reference to me saying don't throw the ball short of the goal line on a 2-point conversion. That was 1st and 9. First and goal from the 9. If you don't get it, you have more plays at your disposal. It's not a one and done 2-point conversion. That's why in 2-point conversions, I hate throwing short of the goal line. It's a completely different position. And honestly,
or anything like that.
And that was the play actually right before that's the touchdown they ran the 2-point conversion on.
Yeah. Speaking of a team that would never make the wrong decision as far as going for two and or kicking the extra point. Chi-Town Cornhole, like that custom cornhole for that matter, the #1 cornhole provider for Chicagoland and Illinois since 2007. Their signature box style, which you can see, by the way, at our tailgate coming up against the Miami Dolphins November the 6th. It can be digitally printed. It can be covered in vinyl. It can be painted. Their boards have built-in drink holders. They've got the recessed in on the back, super amazing LED lighting. Place, they're awesome. They're sweet. Your friends will be impressed. They're veteran owned and they're operated. They can ship anywhere. So if you're watching the Bears or watching the show in wherever you're watching the show, Arizona, Florida, London, they'll ship them to you. And they do specialize in corporate designs for companies' next marketing or social event, wedding gifts for all occasions for that matter, especially for tailgaters. Adam, great stuff. Look forward to getting you back in studio when you can get back in studio, sir. But I like this. It's good to have you today, even from your remote location, sir.
All right, guys. Appreciate it. Good stuff. Keep it going.
Easy, bro.
Thanks, Adam.
So, all right, as we wrap up here, team, just a couple more topics that we need to hit. Number one, he hasn't gotten a ton of love, at least on this show. Maybe he's gotten it elsewhere, so I want to throw it here too. David Montgomery. There had to be a reason that he was on the field as much as he was yesterday, as well as Khalil Herbert's been playing, and clearly Fields was more protected. So we got to throw 32 some big time props.
He was great over there. You look at his stats, like rushing the football, it wasn't great, but he had that key touchdown, and on those key, like, 3rd and shorts, he will get you 2 to 3 yards every time. And then the receiving game, that's where I feel like his best value is. You look at that last drive, right, after we almost lose the football, Justin Fields is dropping back. He's looking through the progression. There's no one there. David Montgomery's open. He gets the first down. Yeah. Then that gives Justin Fields the confidence. Then he completes the ball to Smith-Marset. He doesn't go out of bounds, but David Montgomery is such a security blanket for Justin Fields, and I think that's where his greatest value is, catching the ball in the backfield, blocking, and then, if you're in a 3rd and short, 4th and short situation, you give him the rock, he will get that first down. So I think he's so valuable for Justin Fields.
I feel like every time he's out and then Khalil Herbert has a big game, everyone says, oh, you don't need David Montgomery, whatever. You don't need to pay him a lot of money. Running backs are expendable.
I've said the same thing. Yeah.
Montgomery comes back, and you say, "Oh, that's why we need him."
Exactly. It's almost like you forget.
And you really hope that. I mean, I don't hope for Montgomery's sake, because I want him to get paid. I want people to get paid. I want him, whatever. But I almost kind of hope that he's undervalued within the league, and the Bears are able to work a reasonable deal for both sides out and keep this guy a Chicago Bear, because I do think it is important going forward. We talk about the roster turnover and everything's going to be different, but you're still going to need pillars and guys who are here from the beginning. And it's not just Justin Fields. It's going to be Roquan Smith, if you can afford it. David Montgomery, Jalen Johnson, guys like that. There still have to be, a core 4, core 5, 6 players going forward.
I think they have 2 great running backs, right? It's like thunder and lightning. Khalil Herbert has that juice. That's why people love him. That's why I love him, because he can hit that hole. He has that breakaway speed. Montgomery doesn't have that.
That was the old. Are you like a Giants fan? Tiki Barber and Ron Dane.
Yeah.
There we go. Ron Dane shout out.
Exactly.
Bring Adam back. Let's talk about
thunder and lightning. But they both have their value. But Montgomery, what separates them is catching the ball out of the backfield. Yeah. I mean, he's just so valuable there. And every quarterback needs that, right? Like, kind of the tight end has been up and down right now with us. Cole Kmet had a decent game.
Shout out Cole Kmet. Shout out Justin Fields. That connection.
I really like that connection, because that's going to be critical going forward, and especially in the red zone, because there's too many times we get in the red zone and we settle for field goals. We need to pass the ball more in the red zone and not these little screens like we did on that 2-point conversion. We need some actual throws. We need some slants. We need some back shoulder plays, like the one to Mooney in the first quarter. Oh, that was the perfect play call in that situation.
He was expecting a jump ball there, and
that was on Darnell Mooney. 100%. That was a back shoulder play. Justin Fields put it exactly where you need to. That was all Darnell Mooney. That's the play right there. Classic Green Bay. Luke Getsy, right? Aaron Rodgers has been doing that for years. That was the play that he did for years to Jordy Nelson, Devontae Adams. Mooney, that was on him. That's a touchdown right there. That was great. You need those plays. You need them.
Which is, by the way, more compliments to Justin Fields, who, like, he's got to be thinking, that was a touchdown, dude. You're my guy, but that's a touchdown, and we're rolling, and I didn't get it, and we needed it, and I want to kill you. Same thing with you, Dante Pettis. You know, he moved through all of that gracefully.
I think the one thing real quick is Justin Fields is the guy. I don't think. I know people still question about it, but what he showed in that game at a tough place to play in Minnesota. Minnesota is not an easy place to play by any means. That crowd gets rocking in that dome, and he played excellent. Like, I know it was a little up and down at times, but decision making, confidence in the pocket, knowing when to scramble, knowing when to get the ball out. I mean, it was everything. You know, the stats didn't woo or wow you, but he was so efficient, and the rating. That's the key part when they're talking about numbers. His efficiency rating was great.
Yep, and it is interesting, by the way, that the rating of 118.8, it was higher than Kirk Cousins, which makes me question the rating. The dude went 17 for 17 to start the game.
But then he fizzled out a little bit.
He just threw the pick. You get so knocked for picking. Fields didn't turn it over yesterday. Couple of super chats. Really appreciate it. Ethan, shout out to Cairo Santos coming back and hitting 3 big field goals. You're absolutely right, man. The 51-yarder too. That Cairo, you know, he doesn't have that. He's not Mr. Distance, but to knock that through was huge at the time. Gave him the lead. And Toxic King Christian, interesting way to live your life over there. Do the Bears go after DJ Moore, and for how much? You guys can take this. It'll be very. They're going after someone.
I think if it's the right situation, it depends on the draft pick. I think that's going to be key. You know, you definitely don't want to give a draft pick too high.
How old is DJ Moore at this point?
He's 26 or 27.
Okay.
Still fairly young. So I think he's talented. But, you know, at the same time, you want to surround him with some more talent at the receiver position. And, you know, could DJ Moore come in there and be the difference? You know, with Justin Fields taking the next step this year? I think that's what it comes down to.
I really want to know Ryan Pohl's mindset here, because I think you have one last lottery ticket in N'Keal Harry, right?
Yeah.
Pringle didn't work out. EQ is, you know, sort of worked out, but not from a production standpoint.
Yeah, he's realistically a number 3.
Right.
I don't even know if it's a lottery ticket. He's at best a scratch off.
Harry?
Yeah, I feel like you're trying to get $20 out of that
He's
card.
Probably like a $10 scratch off. Maybe not the dollar scratch off.
Okay, $10 scratch off. I think he's $1.
But I just do wonder. It's like Pohl's like, to me, I'm just all about preserving your picks, right? And if Moore isn't going to put you over the top, and I don't think he's the key to unlocking this offense, like, why are you going to give up any of your picks next April?
I agree with that. We don't need to be trading any picks right now. That's not.
But if you think DJ Moore could be a part of this Bears, he's still a younger guy.
Yeah.
Then I think at that point he could be him and Darnell Mooney, and then we get a true number 1.
I never have a great sense of what people are worth.
Yeah.
Like in terms of pick.
I think they were saying maybe a 3rd or 4th rounder.
Yeah.
So I guess we'll see at that point, right? A 3rd and 4th rounders. I mean, some value there. So yeah, I don't know. I think if he's going to improve Justin Fields' game right now, I think you take a shot as long as you're not giving up too high of a pick.
Okay. I'm not completely against it. So if they want to do something like that for a low level pick, if that's what his value is,
and maybe get Velus Jones going a little bit, right?
Which is which is exactly where I want to go to wrap it up here. Just remember what a difference a week makes. Mm-hmm. Last week, Velus was
stumbling.
Stumbling. The game's over, and everyone wants to kill him.
Yep.
And then after this week, he's sitting in his locker. He's comfortable. He got in the end zone for the first time, and no one's thinking about Velus right now. Amir Smith-Marset, that can be you. You can do something Thursday night. Maybe a kickoff, maybe whatever. Maybe you catch a ball and you just get out of bounds and do it right, and all of a sudden, you know, we're all moving forward. So, you know, things can change very rapidly in the NFL, in life, in general.
Yeah.
So
it's going to be a fun week, a busy week. We have a busy week here at CHGO. Tonight is Bears After Dark with Will DeWitt, Greg Braggs, and then Nick Moriano will come in and talk about what he reported from Hallis Hall today. Regular show tomorrow, regular show Wednesday. And then Thursday, we're going to be live during the game.
I'll be with you guys on Thursday.
Corey will be here on Thursday
and Friday show, yeah.
So we're not going to have a show on Friday.
Oh, okay.
I was going to tell you that. So breaking news, Corey.
Okay.
No show. unless there's a compelling reason to have it. We had such a crazy time getting back in studio after the Packers. You remember that turnaround? It was kind of nuts. So unless there's a real compelling reason to come in here and drink some more beers, which, that's always a compelling reason.
So what if it's a crazy Bears win? Justin Fields goes for 400 yards of defense, knocks out the run, has 6 sacks. Are we in here?
We will do that. We will absolutely do that. So, but it's going to be fun.
One last super chat before we go. Tana So Lit, $10. Thanks, buddy. I really appreciate the effort the team and coaches gave yesterday. There were a lot of positives. # Bear down.
Yes, sir.
I have one question for you.
Yeah.
Has anyone tried to go to NFL Shop and buy a Montgomery shirt? Jersey.
Not yet, but that's
I'm going to try that,
Shame on the Bears for messing it up. You got arguably one of your best players on the team, and you can't even spell his name right.
Now, wait, has that ever happened to you? Your
Yes,
last name
in college.
is a
In
little
college.
Ian?
My name is
double T.
Wootton, and my first year in college, they spelled my name wrong on my jersey. The first game of the season, it was Wootten.
Ian. Yeah.
And I was like, really?
I did that today, so just so you know, I because I was written the right description, I blew it, but I was like, I was so proud.
People keep on writing your name in the description.
my
Carman with EN.
My name's never been right. M-A-R-C, C-A-R-M-E-N. It's a K and it's an A.
There you go.
Let's go. Speaking of going, we got to go.
Let's go.
Kevin, great having you on set as always, and
Great show, fellas.
Great show. Hey, appreciate everybody in the chat today. You guys were awesome as per always. We will see you on the Bears podcast tomorrow at noon.